Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host, Paul. Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host, Paul. Hey, sounds like there's an echo in here. Hey, you having that? And today we're going to be breaking down the new Marvel series. Created under the banner Marvel Spotlight, this was something that the company also used to do in the comics to try out side characters in their own leading titles. It kind of feels like that's what's happened with Echo as well, as she's never really been a massive name in the source material. I must admit, I was very surprised she got her own show. Then there were rumours that her series was a complete disaster. Lots of things circulated around it in the build-up to its release, and firstly, Marvel reportedly cut out an entire episode, dropping it down to 5. They also announced it was going to be released day 1, and lastly, weren't going to be allowing reviews until it was officially out. Yeah, it's been a weird one in the build-up to the project. However, people had hope when they saw they were going for a mature audience and featuring both Daredevil and Kingpin. Has it worked? Is the MCU alive? Is the MCU dead, or whatever state the Schrodinger's franchise is in that week? Do we finally know? Well, it's complicated, but fear not, my young Padawan, for throughout this video, we're going to be going through the series and giving our thoughts on it. This will also be covering the Easter eggs, where things could be going, and what we know so far about what they're doing with Kingpin. Heavy spoilers ahead, and if you don't want to know, then I highly recommend that you turn off now. With out of the way, huge thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into Echo. I did that joke before and it was shit the first time.
I see everything that you are. I always have. Don't be afraid.
Okay, so we last saw Echo during the events of Hawkeye, where she was working for the Kingpin. Don't worry if you haven't seen that though, because episode 1, it's like a massive 45-minute long previously on. In it, we see Maya Lopez basically going through the story of that season, in which she learns her father was murdered by the Kingpin. In the comics, she debuted back in Daredevil issue 9, which was released during 1999. Like the show, her father was killed by Kingpin, who then raised her as his own child. We discover that the pair had been business partners, but after a mistake, the man had to go like Victoria Alonso so. Maya's dad begged Fisk to look after her, and she was sent out to the most prestigious schools. Here we see her learning karate, and Fisk protecting her as she gets bullied. Though we're getting the Netflix shows as being canon, I am still kinda like, cause you wonder why she was never mentioned until now. Basically, she's the kid you never see because you're too busy off doing big reviews of Echo. Either way, in the source material, when her dad died, he left a handprint on her face, which the character wore as a mark. This was given a nod to in the series, well, sort of, by her mother when she was killed during a car crash in the opening of episode 1. Other differences include that she's Chine in the comics, but here they've changed it so she's Choctaw Nation. Now here's where the big differences get a bit complicated, as I feel by the time they started planning out what to do with Daredevil, they'd already hit the ground running with Hawkeye. In the comics, Maya was sent to break Matt's heart after being told that Daredevil killed her dad. That was in the wake of Karen Page's death, in which the character was already at his lowest. She fell in love with Matt while not realizing he's Daredevil, and studied his moves so she could best him with ease. Duking it out with Daredevil, this is when he told her the truth, and that she'd been a pawn in Wilson Fisk's game. In the end, she shot him instead, which led to him coming back, blinded in both eyes. The show has it so this is just one, because a Daredevil's not here that much, so they don't really have to do the blind versus blind, which is a shame, because it was a pretty cool idea. Now in the series, she of course saw it was Hawkeye, who, as we learned, had been tipped off by Fisk. Maya would actually become Ronin herself, and this happened when she showed up in New Avengers 11. Either way, we go over these tidbits in episode 1, and when I saw this, I almost quit the show. The entire opening entry just felt like a hatchet job that got butchered in the edit trying to figure out how to do a recap. Hawkeye had basically been her origin, but I feel like they also wanted this series to be newcomer friendly. So what we get is massive scenes from Hawkeye that most people watching will have already seen. You like the MCU, you're on board, you're watching Kevin spoilers, you've seen the bloody show. It completely kills the pacing, and on top of this we jump forwards and backwards in time without any rhyme or reason. What you basically need to know is that Kingpin is found out and confronted by Maya, which is when she shoots him. I genuinely think I'm going to turn this off. Wait, is that bloody Daredevil? Keep it on. Best show ever. Now, so Matt's entrance, it's something that really comes out of nowhere, and it gives you an idea of how he operates in the city. I loved how Maya was just beating up people for Kingpin, and then he showed up mid-scene and really raised attention. Now in the comics, Maya's a mimic that's a bit like Taskmaster, in which you can copy someone's style and how they move around. This had allowed her to become an excellent ballet dancer, but it also meant she could fight your boy Dee. However, none of these powers are present in the show, which again, just felt like one of those changes why they didn't get why people liked the character in the first place. We even had the creative team coming out and saying her powers in the comics were lame, and again I was like, Disney, you sure know how to hire them, mate. Sure know how to get those people that know how to do good PR. I don't know, just fighting someone, who can perfectly mirror one of your hero's moves is something that I think's really cool to watch. Now I get it, yeah. Taskmaster's been gender swapped, so we'd have to have two women with the exact same skill set. Still though, I hate it when the creative team behind adapting a character come out and say how lame it is. To me, you should always respect the source material, but it is fine to make changes if you think you can tell a different story. Miss Marvel did it for the MCU, and they do it with her origins. I just wish they didn't feel the need to act like they're better than the comics. That's ego, that's a we know best mentality that often leads to you making all the wrong choices. Although I'm bitching about the show a lot, and I do think that episode 1 is the worst MCU opening entry we've ever had, I will say Echo 2 and 3, they do get better. This is her going back to her roots and leaving New York to go to her estranged family. In the comics, she headed out to France to reunite with Matt. However, Matt, you can't bloody keep a good guy down, and she found out that he was with someone else. Now, during this, like what we get at the end of episode 3, we discover that Kingpin was still alive. He revealed that he still loved her like a daughter, which in the comics made her wrestle with how she felt. She then met the chief and her father's friend, and was sent on a vision quest to come to terms with her trauma. In the end, she returned to being a dancer, but was called on by Steve Rogers to help with a breakout at the raft. Turned out that Matt had recommended her, and she was tasked with capturing the villain, the Silver Samurai. This is what led to her becoming the Ronin who took on Japanese criminals similar to Clinton Endgame. Later on, she was also selected as a host for the Phoenix Force, with her gaining it at one point in the comics. As for the show, they play into her lineage a lot more, with us then learning the backstory of her ancestors. Now, some Native American cultures believe that people were made of clay, which was to referenced in the What If Kahori episode. At the start of episode 1, we see where the people came from, and how they were beings living inside caves. When these collapsed, they arrived on the surface, and in the heat of the sun, started to be formed. I think.
Do you understand? Seriously, you need to be a neuroscientist to understand.
Mythology is something I've not really come across before, and all I had to really go off was the opening monologue. If you guys know that though, then drop it below, as I'm sure there's more going on here than what we're told in the intro. Either way, we learn that the descendants of the leader Chaffa have been blessed with amazing gifts that run through the family on the maternal side. This has helped them to win sports games, hit the thumbs up button, and also be part of a group known as the Light Horsemen. These pulled from the Story Phoenix song Echo Issue 3, which was released during 2021. This also featured the Black Crow, which the skate ring could be after, which might be a reach, but it's just worth including. These powers enable them in times of great anger or extreme stress, and they also get flashbacks of all of their ancestors. It's all connected, and if you want to support the channel, then check out our all connected shirts right below the video. These will get you laid. I don't know, it hasn't worked for me yet, but it might work for you. So if it does, please let me know, and I can put that as a selling point on the shirt. Anyway, at home, Maya reconnects with her family throughout the course of the season. This includes Chula, Scully, Bonnie, Henry, and also your boy, Biscuits. He's kind of down on his character who's barely scraping by, and these characters help to add something more to the show than just Echo walking around scowling at everyone. Biscuit at one point brings a Madripoor, which we of course saw in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This fictional locale is a haven for criminals, and it's of course where Sharon Carter also became the power broker. I kind of feel like we get some nods to the snap, as at one point we also find out that he's selling a PS4. Everybody's lost 5 years, so hey, they've got some games to catch up on before they hit the PS5, which due to the time delay might not have even been developed yet. Now they do the usual, white tourists just get the stereotypical tourist stuff and will buy anything that looks like it's Native American, but to be fair, those neckties look quite good, and when you look that snazzy, mate, who can bloody blame you? Now at the midpoint, she then gets held hostage with her family pulled into it, and also has to face off against a man named Zane. Leading the Black Knife Cartel, this is a gang that comes from the comics who supplied every criminal organization within the US. The fight scenes are what you'd expect, and there's bits of humours like the Make America Skate Again thing. I'm sure they also have the guy who plays Malik who was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but hey, who knows if that is or isn't canon anymore. I know it's not canon, mate, but let me dream. Either way, the hit's called off with a ringtone New York Minute by Don Henley playing out, and the lyrics to that are, in a New York Minute, ooh, everything can change in a New York Minute. It can get pretty strange. Now, strangely, the hit's called off with her being wanted dead and then spared, showing how quickly things can change. Still though, what we're really wrestling with here is someone who's torn between two cultures and two families in the two sides. At home, she has her native roots and lineage in a family that love her, whereas the other side is Kingpin's New York. Here he had her trained and used as an assassin, but it's of course what she knows and where she feels pulled to. I think Vincent D'Onofrio really steals the show, and every scene he's in is a big moment in the series. I will talk about what they're doing with him later on, but this then takes us into the final 2 episodes. Now here, we importantly really see how Kingpin took care of Maya. This was controlling, violent, and representative of the life she'd return to if she went back to New York. The final 2 entries are very much about her breaking free of his control and finally embracing the family her father took her away from. We saw that she lived a lavish lifestyle of luxury and was truly taken care of, but this was kept through violence and fear. I think it's also important to bear in mind the line about Kingpin not learning sign language, and he even had tech created so he didn't have to. On the opposite side of this, her real family have, and I feel like this has a deeper layer. Kinda shows how he wants Maya to fit into what he views how things should be, whereas her family accept her for how she is. Both have dinners in the final 2 entries, and it's clear where she feels the most comfortable. She used to see his actions as being heroic, but then she realised its weakness and being unable to lead people naturally. Offered the chance to be Queenpin, she ends up getting flashes of her lineage, and also sees the bird in it harkening back to Chaffer. This has some big moments at the start and end of episode 5, and it helps to showcase her mother's healing abilities. This bird is also what Chula witnesses just before the crash. In Native American astrology, woodpeckers are often thought to represent the heart of nature, and this is due to the red spots that you can see on their heads. This tapping away against a tree is being perceived to be like a beating heart, hence why it's adopted this moniker. On top of this though, the website Astroframe has stated that the woodpecker as a symbol is seen as a protector of its people. It's someone that will always look after its own, which again ties in with Maya and how the ancestors' powers activate in times of need. Now she gets help by Chula and learns of her past and how her lineage was supposed to make her a healer. This is of course in opposite to Fisk, who will use her powers for death and destruction. Either way, Echo goes off to meet him, and we watch as Chula puts together her costume. This pulls heavily from her heritage, with it being a warrior's Native American dress. In episode 1, she also looks at her mother's dress, which somewhat acts as an inspiration for how they go with this. We got this leaked earlier in the month, and to be honest, I don't know if I'm feeling it that much. I know it's leaning into her past, but I really like the getup that they had in the comics, and even the one in Hawkeye I thought was pretty solid. This just seems like a made-for-TV thing, which to be fair, it is. However, there was concept art shown for Hawkeye that I think would have worked a lot better. This was obviously leaked years and years and years ago, but if you compare it to the comics, I think it just stands out more. Either way, there's clearly influence from the Dora Milaje in it, and they apparently looked at dress from the time to influence how to handle the aesthetic. She also rocks a gold-plated leg plate after it gets beaten up in episode 2, which Scully makes for her, taking her closer to her family over the New York stuff. Either way, let me know below, mate. And I know, I get some people might be annoyed at me going off at something like this because you have a strong attachment to this stuff due to things that have happened in your life. Look, I get it. And every time someone says Captain Carter's shit, I'm ready to don some knight armor and defend the Queen of England. So if you like it, yeah, let me know below and make sure you push up that engagement. Come on. Now with Fisk, she's given the hammer that killed her father and the opportunity to kill him. She refuses to though, and in 5 we see her driving out to a gas station. This has the name Roxxon on it, which is a company that's appeared in the background of stuff throughout the MCU. In the comics, it's an old company that's an evil corporation, and it was a pretty cool Easter egg to see dropped in here. Seeing a vision of her mother, we then get the reason for the change in her powers, with the character still being called Echo. This is because her lineage echoes through her and gives her abilities that they all possessed. Strategy, cunning, love, it's all got to this point, and it's here that she then dons her costume. This is when we get a big showdown with Fisk, and you can see that he's donning a grey suit. I was wondering if this had symbolic meaning to it, as in the past he's either wore black or white. Grey is obviously between the two, and it could showcase how he now operates. They did something similar with Luke in Star Wars, and now he's ready to act in shades of grey and become something else. We will get into that, but after she's hit, the ancestors awaken in her and also her family. Sending Fisk into a vision world, he hears as his father beats his mother and watches as the wall in front of him crumbles. This wall is something that was established in the Netflix series, and it's what he became focused on to help shut out the pain. This is why he bought an art piece like it from Vanessa and looked at it when he went into prison. This leaves him completely weakened mentally, and he drives off wondering what she's done. Unfortunately, I thought the fight felt a bit flat, and I think this it's always going to get compared to how it was in the Netflix shows. That was of course famous for the long hallway fights that really helped to sell them as being serious, gritty shows. Tonally, the grittiness, that gritty word again that keeps popping up, that doesn't feel at that level either, so we have something here that I just felt paled in comparison. I thought we'd do something at the end to show why it had earned its mature rating, but now I'm more convinced it was purely just a marketing gimmick. Mature stuff should be reserved for things like Peacemaker and The Boys, where they go all out with things, and this wasn't anything I hadn't seen in Moon Knight or Secret Invasion. Now in the end, we watch as he returns home and finally embraces her family. After this, in the post-credits scene, we get a tease towards Fisk's mayoral campaign, which is something we'd heard's been in the plans for a while. Last night, Daniel RPK actually dropped some leaks and talked about how the ending of Echo had been changed. Originally, she was going to be going to New York and starting up a private investigators, with her getting a visit from Matt about how things were going to go. Apparently though, they didn't want to lock her in, but I do think she deserves to be in whatever storyline that they end up heading in. Daniel said that they changed it to make it more mayoral focused, which in the end is pretty much what we get. This is something that happened in the comics, and it went down when he found himself trapped in Manhattan. This was during a Hydra attack, and it sealed off the island from the rest of the US. Giving what he could, this endeared people to him, and he used this as a way to help his political goals. One of his big promises was that he was going to tackle the vigilantes, and in the end, this started a street war. I'd love it if we saw him hiring villains and getting someone like Bullseye back in the running, as we know from Season 3 that he did end up surviving. It's also possible this could lead into him trying to become president, which I think would be a really cool way to take things. We know what's happened to the one from Secret Invasion, and Harrison Ford will be playing President Ross. If he's revealed to be the Red Hulk though, that could open up the White House and make it so that Fisk could jump into the hot seat. Who knows, we might even get Luke Cage also running for mayor? And all this could lead into Devil's Reign, which I think in the end would be a sick way to take things.
But there's still a window of opportunity. That's what the poll is telling us. It could be anybody's race.
Now going forward, we actually have a pretty fair idea of where things are going to go in the future of the MCU. Daredevil Born Again is apparently releasing next year, but as we know, it's been dogged by issues. Marvel is having a big overhaul at the moment, and we know that Daredevil's been a complete disaster. The studio is pretty much reshooting the show from the ground up, with them only keeping a certain select number of scenes from what's being created so far. That is absolutely insane, and it's probably cost them a lot to shoot it and then just scrap it. However, what it's likely going to do is set up Kingpin as an even bigger bad, and the recent interviews about him have elevated his position. Now described as a street-level Thanos, I think that lots of the heroes will be working together to take him down. The Ultimate Spider-Man 3 Omnibus that released last month, and rereading it, I remembered how much in the early noughties they had a big build-up to him being taken down. This saw the formation of a group with Spidey, Daredevil, Doctor Strange, Moon Knight, Shang-Chi and Iron Fist tackling him. Iron Fist's daughter had been kidnapped by him, and he ended up betraying the group with Spidey being unmasked. At this point in time, Fisk owned the rights to Spider-Man though, so he didn't want him dead due to all the money he was making. Potentially they could take him in that direction for the MCU, as at the moment, no one knows who Spider-Man is, including me, which I'm sure I did, but I can't remember who and I've just forgot. Most of the characters in the group though are already established as well, so they could easily lead into a story just like this. I know we're going to see Iron Fist again, but someone like Kate Bishop could easily take his place. I think Doctor Strange is probably too powerful right now to be drafted in as well, because yeah, man would wipe him out and wipe his arse with him, but the rest would probably quite easily go into it. Now, I do think they mishandled Hawaiian Kingpin and Hawkeye, and I don't know if it was smart starting him off by having Kate Bishop beat him and then Echo shoot him in the same episode. They did something similar with Kang, where it's difficult to feel he's a threat, where he gets beaten badly every time he appears. Still though, what Marvel have is the legacy left behind by the Netflix shows, which are doing a lot of the heavy lifting on this, and no doubt down the line. Now, there are rumours that Daredevil's going to be showing up in Spider-Man 4, so that would be a pretty cool way to connect them all and have them go toe-to-toe with him. I'd love to see someone like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage arrive too, and they could definitely have Fisk as this big villain that unites all the TV characters. They could then face off against him in a film, which is something they seem to be doing with Thrawn in Star Wars and the shows, and yeah, it would be nice to have these shows feel consequential rather than what they have now outside of Loki. And that takes me into my thoughts on the series, and I think you can probably guess what they are based on what I've said so far. The series is up there for me as just being another mid-MCU show that makes me lose faith in their Disney Plus outings. What If and Loki was stuff I really love, but on the whole, now I just go in expecting stuff to be meh, and I'm actually surprised when it's good. That shouldn't be the case, and you can tell they didn't have confidence in the project either, which is why they ripped the band-aid off and dropped them all in one day. They've delayed a number of their films to next year now, and we're only getting Deadpool on the big screen. Ironheart filmed in November 2022 and won't get released until November 2025, and yeah, Daredevil's being completely reworked. Captain America 4 is going through 4 months of reshoots, and I think the studio know that they could be in trouble. I feel like the MCU, it used to have a direction, and as an audience, it felt we were all on this ride together. However, this just feels directionless and more of a vehicle for Kingpin than anyone else in it. It's a shame, as there are the odd flashes of good things, but from the off, it's like it's being completely hacked to nothing. The first episode, yeah, the editing's all over the place, and it just kills things with the random time jumps and nonsensical flashbacks. We also have the Power Origins stuff, which, when viewed on its own, can be pretty good. However, when we barely know our main character and aren't really told what's going on, having these random jumps back hundreds and thousands of years makes it difficult to connect with the series. I can imagine that having a deaf character as your lead, it's going to be difficult to figure out how to present that, as you're going to be relying heavily on subtitles and also people reading. That's fair enough, but then to add flashbacks that are all subtitled, or to put a silent movie in where you have to read, I wonder if they were aware how much they'd kill the mass appeal of it. Now look, yeah, I don't mind subtitles at all, and I will happily watch all the Grudge movies back to back over the space of a day. Mass audiences, though, they don't have a reputation for liking them, and it's rare to see a subtitled film get anywhere near the box office that an English-speaking film does. So yeah, we're to lead with that, and I think this series kind of speaks a lot of the arrogance in Hollywood and Marvel right now. They think they can just make a show and it'll be great, but the people they hire, they disrespect the source material, change everything, and try to steer it away from what made it popular in the first place. I think Marvel knew this was coming and just tried to shuffle this out the door as quickly as possible, so the conversation about it wouldn't last for the months it would have with a weekly episodic release. Now, I think the action scenes work well in it, and like I said, the Daredevil one, that really popped off for me. The train stuff was good too, and there's these moments dotted throughout that when I felt like the show was just about a crash and burn, this slightly pulled it out of it. We also have the family and side characters that I think work well to bolster it. On top of that, if I'm going to be honest, after Hawkeye, I wasn't that interested in Echo, and I thought that making a show based around her was going to be a bad move. However, this series did make me slightly more intrigued about her, and Loqua Cox fits nicely into the role. I can't really imagine anyone else playing her at this point, and I think once she goes back to the more gritty New York stuff, that she'll be a great character in things like Daredevil and what they're doing with Kingpin. Kind of feels like they took an interesting side character, fleshed out their backstory in a side series, and then that'll obviously pay off more as we get into the more major names in the franchise. So yeah, long term, this might pay off better as we get more attached to this character, and depending what they do with her down the line, that could really help her out. Now, I know this stuff's important for representation, and I've had backlash for just saying I didn't like it on Twitter. If you did, then maybe you saw something in it that I didn't, but I think if Marvel really want to do service to the people they're representing, that they need to do more. Representation shouldn't just be a free pass from criticism, and they should be aiming to make something that stands up to other entertainment. Prey, the Kahori episode of What If, they all feel like they really put the effort in and can easily go toe-to-toe with other movies and episodes alongside them. Here though, it just feels like they dumped it and even cut it down to 5 episodes so they could rush it out the door, which I don't think gives it a fair shake. After a rocky start with episode 1, though it manages to get back on track, it never feels like it's hitting at that home run level, and thus I left Echo disappointed. The story just isn't at a high enough level or crafted to the point that the actors can truly sell it. Everyone's kind of doing what they have with the material, but at its core, there's nothing here that really takes things beyond that level of mediocrity. Honestly, I hate going off like this, and I make way more money when the franchise is in good state, so I'm hoping for my own wallet insanity that we return to that time. This ain't it though, and yeah, whether you agree or disagree, let me know below. Please drop a like on the video, and if you want to support the channel as a member of the Spoiler Society, then please click the join button. We get early access to videos every week, and it goes such a long way to helping us out. Hopefully you've enjoyed hearing my thoughts, even if you disagreed with them, and yeah, try and keep it civil, mate. We're not all here fighting over movie franchises, are we? Well, it probably turns out we are, but without the way, thanks for sticking through the video. I've been Paul, I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.